Intelligent Ramblings with your host, Bill Lofton. Co-hosted by Gary Glenn and William Howington, with help from John Cohn.
Good evening. Welcome to Intelligent Ramblings. I'm Bill Lofton. I'm your host with my other host, Mr. John Cohn, Mr. William Howington, and Mr. God, this hurts, Gary Glenn.
Yeah.
Gary's in pain.
Yeah.
Gary had knee surgery, and he has a new titanium knee. Everybody needs a titanium knee.
Yeah.
We're not going to
That's-
bury Gary. We're going to melt him down.
That's right.
He's got so much
Recycle.
metal in him. Recycle this guy. Well, let's get to it. For over half century, the Pentagon Press Corps has benefited from working out of the individual office spaces known as Correspondence Corner that provide coveted and open access to some of the department's top military and civilian leaders. Now they are changing things up. A lot of things changing by starting an annual media rotation. Do you think this is necessary? Especially since they are replacing broad-thinking news media by conservative media outlets. And they're not even ashamed to say they're conservative.
Well, he's the president. He can do what he wants, I guess. You don't have to like it.
Isn't that kind of an infringement on free speech?
No, they don't have the right to have a certain area.
Well, I mean, the
I
problem
think,
is...
I think that's true, but it's been done for a long time, and now they're just coming to settling. But you're right. If that's the new rules they play by, I mean, CBS doesn't own that spot, or ABC, or NBC, or Fox, or any of the rest of them.
Well, NBC is...
Tell them, be there or not.
NBC is one of the media outlets that's being replaced, but they're being replaced by the One America News Network, which is a paid news service, and it's absolutely conservative. They don't make any bones about it. We are a conservative network. So it seems to me, rather than NBC, which we all know they lean to the left, and I don't watch NBC News because they lean to the left. I watch either ABC or CBS because they're a little bit more in the center. But there's one thing about leaning to the left than when you're laying flat on your back to the right. So that tells me we're not going to be getting the whole story. Or we're going to be getting a slanted story, or we're going to get a story that the president wants to portray. John, I know you got something. You're a libtard.
So here's what I think about this. If those are the changes they want to make, fine. I don't think that we have fair and objective reporting from any of the networks or any of the new news outlets, like you mentioned, One America. They're on the spectrum of infotainment mostly, and so you have to, whatever you read coming out of the Pentagon, you have to go somewhere else and find other sources that are more objective to see what the actual story is. There's, it's more work, but the bottom line is they make the rules. The executive branch makes the rules in the Pentagon, and if that's what they're going to do, then that's what they're going to do.
Well, then we'll have a little bit, almost 4 years of, well, we're not really sure if that's the right story or if that's just the way they want. I mean, the government's already secret enough.
Yeah.
They're already, we don't know about half of what they say is true, but now we're down to a quarter.
Well, I think it could be time to think about supporting other organizations, other reporting organizations like ProPublica or New Republic or people like that who are independent because they don't rely on access like the old news networks have had in the past. They just do really good reporting, and it's reliable. It's a source to go to if you want something to balance out what you're getting from the Pentagon, from the Pentagon Press Corps. We're going to lose reporting that we would have otherwise gotten, if there weren't some of the new folks that they're putting in the rotation. But
well, it's like they're replacing the New York Times with the New York Post, and that's the comment I read today was that's like a newspaper being replaced by a tabloid.
it is exactly.
exactly what it
I
is.
agree.
They're not really replacing anybody.
Do what, William?
They're not really replacing anybody. I don't know what you talk about NBC, but
They're
But
replacing them.
it is-
They're losing their spot at the correspondence corner.
well, they're just losing their spot. There's still a spot available.
Not really.
They just won't have a premium spot.
Well, you can always show up and cover the news. Now, my only thought on this is, are you going to tell us both sides of it and be fair? Slanted news, I don't think is news. That's propaganda. So, and I've been in the news business for a very, very long time.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I mean, another one they're swapping out is instead of Politico on the online news, they're putting Huffington Post, which is a hardcore conservative media outlet. I mean,
Well, see, again, I don't care if they're conservative or liberal. Are they telling the truth? Are they just making crap up?
well,
I get a lot of these. I get a lot of these memes, and I know you two do too, in your email and all this kind of stuff. It's clickbait crap that somebody's just making up, or it's so one-sided and so slanted. There may be about that much truth in it, and the rest of it is just what they think. Well, there's a difference in opinion and facts, isn't there?
well, doesn't that sound like Fox News last year or at the end of the?
I don't
Election?
watch Fox News very much, so I don't know. I'm like you. I watch ABC. I watch Lester Holt on
Nope.
NBC. I think he does a good job.
Yeah, NBC's holds pretty good. I don't know how much he puts into it, but he gets the news from somewhere. I don't know about Fox News, what they do, but they definitely don't lean towards the left.
Oh no,
No.
not even a little bit.
Well, Fox News got sued because all the lies, and then they had a bunch of the guys that were giving the news fired. Fox News has changed in the last couple of years because the last election, not this past one, but the one before last, where Trump lost, they got sued out of them by several people, and they lost. And they proved that they were just making shit up as they went.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of
Well, they don't need to make up stuff.
Well, that's what they were doing, and it was
Well, I
just
don't-
ridiculous.
Can't countenance that. Then that's just chaos. Again, propaganda, not news.
Well, it's one of the basics of surround yourself with, take out the media. That's one of the first steps to a closed government, is when you start messing with the media. And if you're doing your press conferences and the only people that are asking questions are people that are on your side, it's not going to be very much of not a lot of honesty going on there.
Well, people like us are not going to get the whole story. We're going to get 1/2 to 2/3 of the story, if that much.
I do my best to try to check out. Somebody says something outrageous. I used to all these things one time. Once upon a time, and I'd get this stuff in my emails, and I'd look at it, and I'd go, "That doesn't sound right to me." And I'd look it up. Sure enough, it was a lie. And I usually sent something back to the person who sent me the email. Said, "No, this is not right. Here it is." Then see, it's you're not going to convince them, guys. Their mind's made up. Their mind is made up. This is the facts, and I know it's true, even when you can demonstrate it's not.
Yeah.
What was that line from that Doobie Brothers song? What a fool believes, no wise man has the power to reason away. Amen.
Very good
True
quote.
words
Gary.
were never spoken.
True words were never spoken, no doubt.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we all want the truth. I don't think we want anything slanted one way or the other. We just want the truth. So if you got somebody there at the press conference, surely somebody's going to have it right.
Well, I get all this stuff about, the people that Trump turned loose, and this guy's says, "Oh, now we're going after all the traitors and all this kind of stuff." And I wanted to say, you mean like the ones that attacked the Capitol on January 6th? You mean like those guys?
That he turned loose.
Yeah.
Andrea has something, Bill.
They're not removing all liberal media, replacing it with conservative, right? No, they're not. They've just picked out a few that they don't like at all, and it's more of a gesture, more of a, I'm trying to think of the right word. They're making a point that they can do this. It's not going to really, we're still going to get the news from the New York Times and the, let's see, who's somebody else? NBC News is still going to put out the news, and they'll talk about Washington. Another one that got replaced was National Public Radio. Who doesn't trust National Public Radio?
Oh, you'd be surprised. A bunch of commie liberals.
And online news, they're replacing Politico. They're just losing the great places where they can put all their equipment and write all their stories and have it all hooked up to the computer where they can just punch it right in and it goes straight out to the thing. It's just going to make them more. It's going to make it more difficult for them to get the news out. And it's just they're posturing. I mean, that's the best word I can come up with. Andrea says, "I'm never going to watch more than 15 minutes of Newsmax without turning it off, so that's not where I'm getting my news." I don't know what Newsmax is.
It's the same thing as One America News, and
Breitbart,
they're on at Fox News. They're on the same
Same vein?
Yeah, all in the same vein. That's a good way to put it.
All right.
I never heard of them, so I don't get my news from there.
What news do you watch, William?
Well, I watch NBC and I watch Fox.
Okay,
and sometimes ABC. It just depends on what I'm watching.
Well, it's good to watch some conservative news, and it's good to watch some liberal news, and that way you can figure out between the two which is the one you really believe. Because I've listened to, I have a channel on my radio that broadcasts Fox News, and I listen to it whenever I'm in my car and I'm driving long distance, and it gives me a perspective of what the conservative ideas are versus the liberal idea.
Well,
which
occasionally,
go ahead.
No, I just said occasionally I'll flip over to the BBC, which doesn't have a dog in the fight as far as America is concerned.
Yeah.
They're
But they do have nice British accents.
Yes, they do.
No, I love their accents.
He has panel and all those people. Absolutely.
Hey, I heard something funny. I saw a funny comment about this person who was trying to get her parents to stop watching Fox News. And she was finally, she wasn't making any progress whatsoever. And the negative effects on her parents were like noticeable. And so she used their TV remote to block Fox News and they couldn't figure it out. They just knew that they weren't getting Fox News anymore, and so she like posted it as a one way to reduce the influence of Fox News and the lives of people that are close to you.
Well, going into another subject on that nice little story by John. Let me ask you a question. Should Elon Musk be given the keys to the U.S. Treasury Department payment system, which is a vast system that sends out more than $6 trillion per year in payments on behalf of federal agencies and contains the personal information of tens of millions of Americans who receive Social Security and Medicare, tax refunds, and other payments from the government?
You know, I heard something that I thought was really pretty clever. It said we now have 4 branches of government. We got the executive, the legislative, judicial, and Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I don't know how much he's doing with that, if he's doing anything.
Oh, he's got tremendous
Nothing
influence.
good.
Tremendous influence.
You've heard of USAID? USAID, which is all over the world with a $3 billion or is it 30 billion? I don't remember. It's one or the other.
It's more than 3 billion, I'm sure.
They put it out 30 billion that they put out all over the world to help people. Well, he turned it off. Elon Musk turned off USAID to all these countries all over the world with just like this. And literally overnight, all these people were laid off and fired and gone.
This right here is going through the judicial system so fast and straight to the Supreme Court, and it's going to either the Supreme Court is either going to recognize it for what it is, which is that the Doge organization is outside of the government. They have no authorization to be where they are and doing what they're doing, and they're either going to uphold the lawsuits and they'll be turned out, or they won't. They'll find in favor of Doge and Elon and his little minions, and if they do, things are going to hit the fan, I think.
Well, the new Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, gave Musk representatives at the so-called Department of Governmental Efficiency a powerful tool to monitor and potentially limit government spending. The Treasury Secretary said, "Here you go. Here are the keys. Go to it."
I don't know who elected Elon Musk or anything, but
Exactly.
Here's what people said about that, though, John. They said you knew that Trump was relying on him heavily, and by voting for Trump, you were essentially voting for Elon Musk.
Well, we just got Walter Poole's vote. Welcome to the show, Walter. Glad to see you here. Hell no. That's his vote for letting Musk do his thing.
Well, I'd like to see what programs and what money has been cut out in the world. Who said we have to pay for everybody in the world? I saw something about condoms to Gaza. Is that
Howdy,
true
Walter.
or not?
I
don't know,
millions
William.
of dollars for condoms.
But Trump says he's going to build them all some beautiful condos.
Yeah, he's going to
Yeah.
build up some condos in Gaza. He's going to put a golf
well,
course where Gaza used to be.
Who's going to control
You know,
that?
well, he will.
He will.
Accept
I promise
his
you,
money. Yeah.
There'll be a big Trump hotel there. I mean, back to the point though. He has no authority to do this, and this is just something they just said do it, and the Treasury Secretary said okay, who was appointed by Trump as well.
I really think this is one of the worst things that could have happened, and hopefully it does go through the court system really fast, and there's a resolution to it soon. And I don't think anybody here tonight would disagree that there's waste and fraud in the government, and but this is not the way to resolve it. This is just dangerous, stupid crap.
It's basically
Well, I hope Elon
humanitarian. It's basically humanitarian assistance, William. It helps people in countries that are dying because there's what used to be land where they could build crops and raise cattle and stuff like that. It's all desert now because of the environment has changed, and they're starving to death. And USAID helps them live. And it's like John said, is there some waste? Absolutely. There's all kinds of waste in our government. There's lots to be done. But coming in here and just going whack and knocking out USAID, that's going to affect millions and millions of people that will not be able to exist without our help. We keep people from starving.
Outside of this country, I know it's hard to believe that there's not a viewpoint other than our own. I have to remind myself of that every once in a while. But outside of this country, USAID is viewed very favorably. They do a lot of good things out in the real world. I'm looking at Andrea's comment. That is funny.
Well, why don't the other 200 countries in the world put some money into this? Why
They
do we have
do.
to be
Well, I think they do.
the lion's
They do.
share?
This is just our organization for doing those
What's right?
things.
What's right? What's doing what's right? Helping people
Yeah.
survive. This USAID builds schools in these countries where if we didn't build them, they wouldn't have a school. They wouldn't have a lot. And it, like John said, it's looked favorably. It's looked at, thank God for the United States. We're held up above all these other countries because you can see these boxes coming into USAID, and that's what it is. Basically, is aid all over the world.
Well, I don't have a problem sometimes with being our brother's keeper because sometimes we're all they got. Now, can we open the floodgates and save everybody? No, we can't. But we can save a few people. And the world might be better off because of it.
You're right, Andrea. It's what it makes us, the United States. People count on us, and we're just, I can see going into it and looking at it and saying, okay, well, this is too much here, too much there. Cut this out, do a little bit of this, move it around a little bit, save us a couple $1 billion, whatever. But to go in and just shut it down, these people are expecting this, and now they're not going to get it. And I think, John, I think you're right. I think the courts will end this pretty quick. I hope so.
I think the
It's 1%, William, of our money is tied up in this 1%.
the what's going to happen is Elon and his kids that are doing this in the payment system. They're going to screw something up, and it's going to be over really fast for them. They're going to be out of there hopefully really soon. Hopefully they'll be out of there before they screw something up. But if they are doing what I think they're doing, they're just like a keystroke away from screwing up.
Well, I hope Elon looks in there and says, damn, we hadn't been paying that Hamilton guy enough. That $1,000 a month just ain't cutting it. I don't see how you can live on that. We need to double or triple it.
Well,
I worked for 30 years to get
Well-
$1,000 a month after taking all that money out, and they still take Social Security out with the jobs I got now.
yeah, I hadn't
Yeah.
seen that tax on Social Security. I hadn't seen that taken away yet.
No, I mean I'm 69, almost 70, and they're still taxing me Social Security
They
when I should
tax-
be getting some.
You pay taxes
Yeah.
in, they take taxes out. I mean,
That's-
you can't win.
That's it. That's it.
Okay, guys, I got another question for you. How can the United States be so wealthy, but so unhappy and unhealthy at the same time? Gary?
I'm so glad you asked this question, Bill. It's a great question. Okay, I've got a short answer, and then I'll get out of everybody's way and let the discussion happen. Yes, we are wealthy. We're the wealthiest country on the planet. And we are unhealthy because of our healthcare system. Health outcomes outside of the United States are way better than ours. We're like somewhere from 15 to 20 in of the developed countries in the world. Our health outcomes fall that far short. We're not even in the top 10. The other thing that's happening is we're unhappy because of something we talked about over the last couple of shows, which is that we're divided. We're divided against each other by those that have wealth and income, and our political system divides us. And those things are what cause us to be in the state we're in today.
Gary?
I was trying to read this comment here. Youngins won't know how to sort this stuff out. We're screwed. Well, I keep telling the smart kids that I teach, I said, I feel sorry for you because you're going to be taking care of all the stupid people in the world because they can't take care of themselves. And that's funny for about 5 seconds, and then you realize how true that is. We are unhealthy. And some of it, I agree with you, John. There's a lot of it. See, we could have looked, when we started looking at healthcare, we could have looked and done some serious studies of these other countries that make things work. How can we do that better here? You know, Americans have always been really good at taking things and tweaking them and making them better. So how could we have done that here rather than that huge rigmarole and all the rollout of Obamacare? You know, that's one thing. The other thing is we make miserable lifestyle choices. We make unhealthy lifestyle choices. We eat too much fat and red meat and all
Poor
that kind
diet.
of stuff.
Poor diet.
Poor diet. And go to the schools and see the waste that happens. They throw away enough food in our school system in the United States to feed a third world country, every man, woman, and child. Throw it away.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also unhappy because we don't see a real solution to any of this. It seems like you're trapped and there's no way out. Other countries have problems, sure. When I was in Finland, the guy said, we don't really have a problem with obesity here because we ride bikes and walk most places we go. He said, what we have a problem here is alcoholism because it stays dark over there so much. You know, if you can't turn and find the light, you're going to live in the dark. And if you live in the dark, you're not going to feel good about yourself. I'm a little philosophical there, but I mean, it's the truth.
Well,
Absolute truth.
let me give you a couple of reasons for unhealthy lifestyles. As Gary pointed out, poor diet, lack of exercise, stressful lifestyle. Chronic stress can lead to unhealthy coping mechanisms like overeating or lack of sleep. Genetics. Some individuals have genetic predispositions to conditions like obesity or high cholesterol. I don't know about that. I'll go with the genetics, what it says, but if you're out walking every day, you'll be fine. Convenience culture. Easy access to unhealthy options and lack of time for healthy meal preparation. Social factors, peer pressure, cultural norms, and marketing of unhealthy foods can influence choices. I mean, you look on the TV and then you go, they'll have this McDonald's commercial where everybody's all happy and they're eating a McDonald's hamburger. I mean, and you see it 30 times a day. And when you check out at any grocery store, what's lining the counter as you walk into the aisle to get checked out, what's on both sides? Food that is not food. It's unhealthy crap. Candy bars, potato chips, sodas, all that junk. I think one of the number one problems is sugar. Sugar.
I agree.
I mean, it's bad for you all the way around, but sugar is in everything. I mean, I go out of my way. I'm drinking a Gatorade fruit punch, which is sugar-free. You know what? At first, when I started drinking these things, they were, I was like, wow, it didn't really taste so good. But I kept on drinking them, and now I'm used to it. I have no sugar in it. So sugar's a big thing.
It is, and you know, when you make poor lifestyle choices and poor health habits, you don't feel good about yourself, and you don't feel good, period. Which is it's the spiral that you get into. One thing leads to another thing, which leads to another thing, which leads to another thing. You know, and we don't take care of each other either.
It's a spiral, but it's a spiral down.
Yep.
You're absolutely correct, Gary.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd like some transparency in the medical profession. I pay $25, not counting what Medicare pays, just to get a shot. I supply the medicine, and they supply the syringe and the nurse to give me a shot, and that's $25 plus what Medicare pays. I want to know what Medicare pays. How much are they getting just to give me a shot that takes 5 seconds?
A lot.
Well, why don't you give yourself a shot?
I can. I guess I can. Well, it's in my butt, so it's kind of hard to reach that.
I bet your wife wouldn't mind doing that.
Well, I don't know if I trust her or not.
She might enjoy poking you in the butt with a needle.
Yeah, I mean, she probably would. William,
Yeah,
I mean,
well.
I'm being perfectly serious. I was a medic in the service. I was a hospital corpsman, and I've given probably 1,000 shots in the arm, ass, and didn't even think about it. You just gotta, the gluteus maximus, you got two sides, okay? When you pick one side, and there's a vein that runs right down the middle of it at an angle. What you don't want to do is put a needle in that, because that would really hurt, and you don't want to put it directly in your bloodstream.
Well, it's not really in the butt. It's in the hip.
You want to go to the right quadrant of the hip, and just, stab away. Maybe pop it a couple times to get it to what the reason they tap on you like that is to make you less sensitive to when that needle goes in. So just pop it a couple times, and you just pop, put it right on in there, pull the syringe out just about a 1/4 inch to make sure you ain't in a vein, and then pump it on in slowly. Whew. That's it.
Well,
And you would
I
have
kind
to-
of want a professional doing it other than my wife or me. First of all, I can't see back there good.
Well, you're not going to do it. You get your wife to do it. Tip her $10.
Well, I kind of want her trained. I want her trained.
Well, I just told you how to do it.
I know, but telling, you got to be able to see and do. You can tell me how to cut hair, but I can't do it unless I practice on it.
Well, there's a difference.
Well, William,
That's-
do you have, are you covered like by Medicare Advantage?
Listen
No,
to
just
Andrea.
Medicare, I guess.
Listen to Andrea. I'll come down there and
Bill
do
should
it.
do it.
I'll teach her. Come down there and teach her how to do it. I was a medic.
No, that's a thought. I'll
that
keep
was
that in
my
the back
job.
of my mind. I just say I wish there was some
Yeah.
transparency. How much are they getting to give me a shot? I pay for the medicine at Walgreens. I bring the medicine to them.
Yeah,
They take a little syringe and stick me. How much is that?
You should get a statement from whoever your Medicare
Yeah, you should.
Advantage provider is that will show you the cost of your prescriptions, the cost of the medical visits,
don't
like
get that.
that.
I've never seen one. I just got Medicare. I don't have an Advantage.
Okay. You should have a Medicare account online that you can go to see how much Medicare is paying for that service,
Yeah, well,
whether you have Medicare
Like I
or
said.
Medicare Advantage. I would say go look at your account.
I was talking about Medicare Advantage. I just picked up Medicare Advantage about at the beginning of the year, well, beginning of December, and I have already lodged a complaint.
really.
Yes, they're not all. I got it as a supplement. I'm covered under the VA. That's where I get all my medical stuff done for the most part. But I wanted to, if I got sick here in Toccoa, I didn't want to have to drive to Augusta to go see a doctor. So I wanted to get something local. So I picked that up. And not only does it do, I have to pay a
Copay.
copay and to see a doctor and whatnot, but it'll be local. And not only that, they've added money back into my account. So when I get my check, I get an extra $50 or something like that. So it's not all bad. And I got silver sneakers, so it's not
And you
all
complained
bad.
about that?
No, I complained about the fact that I want a book that's got the people in it that I can go see. I don't want to go online and do all this shit with it. I want a book. And with a list of everybody that I can use and what I can do with it and stuff like that. And they're not coming up with it. And they said, I called them in December and they said it'd be 2 weeks before they could get that to me. 2 weeks went by and nothing happened.
Well, see,
And-
that's what I'm talking about. Transparency.
Well,
There's nothing transparent in the health system.
when you get to Medicare Advantage, it's less transparent than the normal. And
You should
Anthem
have a book.
is the one
Yeah,
I've
that's
got.
what I got.
Yeah, you can get one.
Well,
You can get one. It's got like your in-network
yeah.
providers and all that stuff. Yeah, you can do that. I don't know.
They
how they're
usually
dragging
send
feet
that
on.
out at the beginning of open enrollment every year.
Yeah, I'm
Really?
having a problem now because we had to switch over from United Healthcare to Blue Cross Blue Shield Anthem, and they were paying for stuff last year, and no problem. You just call them up and say, "Look, I need that medicine." And I say, "Okay, Mr. Glenn, we got you." And then, but now it's like we're trying to get into the
Like what? Say it again.
man like the Manhattan Project or something. It's also kind of, they want to make it really complicated when all it is just, well, the other people had no problems paying for that. What's up with you?
I'll go back to what I said at the beginning. The privatized healthcare in this country we're paying way too much and getting not very good outcomes.
That's
It
what you ought to
really
be
needs
after.
to be changed.
That's what you ought to be after.
We ought to be what? I'm sorry, Bill.
That's what Musk ought to be after is the private sector. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, what people charge, and I'm talking all the way up. What the hospitals have to pay for equipment now is insane. And I mean, if you go to the hospital and you get an aspirin, you get charged $5 for that aspirin.
At least.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. That
You know,
kind of
that-
thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, all right.
Well, it is obvious that President Trump is using the raising of the tariffs as a tool, and it seems to be working.
Yeah.
Canada and Mexico have both bent over, and Trudeau said Canada was implementing a 1.3 billion border plan that included nearly 10,000 frontline workers and more resources to halt the flow of fentanyl, a synthetic drug 50 times stronger than heroin, which Trump has cited as a major concern. They're going to appoint a fentanyl czar and launch a joint strike force with the U.S. to combat crime, fentanyl, and money laundering. And Mexico it says that they're going to send 10,000 National Guard troops to its border with the U.S. Well, congratulations, Mr. President. It worked. Your bluff worked. And he's
Well,
put
it depends
those.
on your definition of worked.
Hell, we don't need our border protected. We need the border of Mexico and Central America protected. Tell the Mexicans to keep people coming in to Mexico. And then they can't get through Mexico to the United States.
Well, yeah, Andrea
agree.
makes a good point. The what Canada and Mexico responded to Trump's threat of a tariff with were things that they had already
John, you're
agreed
cutting
to
out.
do.
You're cutting out. I heard about a quarter of that.
Sorry. So what Canada and Mexico agreed to do was what they had already agreed to do at the end of 2024. They didn't give Trump anything new when he threatened tariffs. They just made a big deal out of stuff that they had already agreed to do in 2024. So it's nothing new. We didn't get anything good so far out of Trump's threats of a tariff, other than, some interruptions and a big hiccup in the stock market. So, he has yet to apply an actual tariff to somebody. It's all been the threat of a tariff, which, why do that? Why go through all that disruption? You're such a great deal maker. Why don't you just get with these governments and make the deal that you want instead of threatening people with tariffs?
Not his style. Trump is the
It's
chaos
not
bringer.
it's not as newsworthy, and
No.
it works better if you do it actually without the news coverage, and then just make the announcement when it's all said and done. But he doesn't work that way.
No.
It certainly doesn't get him in the headlines. Wouldn't get him in the headlines as much, but that's a whole nother thing.
Well, if the Mexicans go through with the 10,000 troops, I will be shocked. And if they do it, they didn't do that under Biden. They didn't send
They
a
agreed to
single
do
troop
it
there.
during the Biden administration. It was something that they had already agreed to do.
Well, why didn't they do it?
I don't know.
What-
I don't know if they did. I honestly don't know if they did or not.
Well,
I don't
you know
know if they're going to do it now.
Might have been John. Might have been part of that deal that was struck that Trump put the kibosh on.
It very well could have been.
Well, all I know is we were getting thousands of these people coming in a day, and now it's a trickle. It's like dozens versus thousands. So he has pretty much clogged up the border.
Yeah, for all the wrong
Good.
reasons. I mean, you don't have to do it this way, but it has the effect it's having.
Well, I say we take care of our own border and let Mexico take care of their border with Central America, and that'll stop it. I don't think we're having that much problem with Mexicans coming across. It's these Venezuelans and Colombians and El Salvadorians and so on and so forth coming in
Damn
here.
El Salvadorans stay in their own damn country.
Yeah.
Um,
Or
I'm
stay.
joking. I think I don't think about border policy that way. I think about it differently. And thanks for the reminder, Gary, about the immigration bill that was stopped in the Senate by Trump
Well,
during his campaign, because it
Right. Didn't
made
want
for
anybody
good
to get-
campaign
Yeah,
material.
didn't want anybody but him to get credit for it. So,
Yeah.
but that's him. That's his style. And we should be surprised when he does things like this because he's told you all along that he will.
Yeah.
When somebody tells you what they're going to do, believe them. Okay. And if you don't want that, then you don't vote for that. But if you do, then you do. And apparently a bunch of people did.
Yeah.
70 million people
We have this,
voted for
this
that.
going on.
70 million people. What the hell were they thinking? I digress. I'm sorry.
Well, hopefully something good's going to come out of all this. I will be shocked if it doesn't.
Well,
I
I'm
think
happy
we're
with
on
the
the right
border. I can say that. I'm happy with what's going on with the border, where they've stopped coming in hordes, and there's not 10,000 down in Central America heading this way because they know they're not going to get in. I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with it at all. I do have a problem with Elon Musk, and it kind of bothers me that he's trying to fix the media to where they're all in love with him, and they're truly and actually not. But he's 1 for 3 on topics today, as far as I'm good. I'm good with the border situation. I think it's needed to be controlled a long time ago, and hopefully this will work it out. I think the main thing they need to do is make the people that are here illegally, make it easy for them to register and become Americans.
Should be
Well,
easier.
they're not. They're going to be rounded up and deported. The fact that the border crossings have gone down to a trickle is just a side effect of the policy of deportation.
That's
Is
good,
it
though,
really-
isn't it?
Fuck no. Good gracious.
You want people coming in?
People are coming in. The numbers are down now. I 100% grant you that. That will change over time, as long as we don't have a comprehensive immigration policy, which we do not. Then we're going to continue to struggle with this problem. And Donald Trump, is a dumbass. I'll say that out loud, live on the air. But
Would
He
you say how
is-
you feel?
he's shrewd, and he's a good politician. I don't mean good in a positive way. I mean, he's good at what he does. He's good at dividing us up. He nails the topics that divide us up and build up his campaign. And border crossings were one of those topics. And, he just rode that one in particular really hard in 2016 and now.
Well, we don't
And
need border
solved,
crossings. We got a visa.
hasn't made one step towards solving the real problem. He's just deporting people, separating children from their families, doing all kinds of negative things, getting publicity, hasn't solved the problem yet, and he won't.
Well, he might if he can stop the people coming in. At the
No,
border.
he's
That's
not.
the main thing. You don't think he's going to
Not
stop
even
them?
close. No, he's not going to solve this problem. It's a great political football. It's been around for 40 years. We came close. We had, like Gary pointed out, the start of a new immigration policy ready to be signed in the Senate. And
What was that
he stopped the
policy?
bill. Pardon?
What was the policy? Let him
it
in?
was-
Tighten
was-
up the borders.
No, William, it was not to let them in. God damn, you're paranoid tonight. It was comprehensive. Among other things, it gave the president the executive power to close the border, which they've never had. And, that was something that Trump could have had he not stopped it for political gain. There was a lot of talk about why doesn't Biden close the border? He couldn't close the border. It wasn't within his authority to close the border. Believe what you will, but I don't see this problem getting solved by the Trump administration.
Well,
I
maybe
see
he'll
them.
solve it.
Fellas, I got
Hey.
to bug out. My
Hey, well, we all-
nurse has told me
Thank you, Gary.
I'm sat here long enough.
All right, we're all gonna bug out then.
All right, well, but hopefully I'm going to be better healthy wise next week. But
Well, if anybody missed it,
this
Gary
is one of
had
those things
a
that had to be done.
Gary got his knee replaced,
Total
and
knee replacement.
so we're gonna see him jogging around the track here in about a couple months. Guys, we're time
600-pound
is
squats cannot be far away.
that's it.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right, boys.
Thank
Take
you
care.
for your time. Thank you for your time.
Thank
and
you, everybody.
we will be there. We'll be back here next Wednesday. And if you got topics you want to hear, absolutely let us know. Then we'll talk about it. And we'll see you next time.
All right. Good night.
Night, everybody.